How to Win the Lottery 1991 Mao 2 by Don DeLillo, the 90s module, season
Give us those
17.
90s facts.
So I have them. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
It's your boy Shreds.
So I have 90s facts. I'm actually doing it on here so I can look at you vaguely while I'm talking instead of looking to my left vaguely while talking. I have 1990 facts and 1991 facts. They are similar, and you can let me know if in the future you want me to deviate or if you want me to keep doing the same things. But I figured since I didn't do them last time because I am a fucking failure, I can do it
Don't
here.
be so hard on yourself.
I know. So because I failed last time in my researching of the year 1990 when we talked about the Thomas Pynchon novel
Vineland.
There is a whole like Twitter thing recently where a guy was like basically hitting up the world's richest men to buy him parts for his computer, but also among all of that were all like Thomas Pynchon novels.
I didn't understand anything that you just said.
There was a guy named Donald Boat. Don't know if that's his real name or not.
Donald Boat Substack.
Yes.
You just sent that to me today.
Yeah, did you read that or no?
I didn't. I will.
So it's so long. You can skim it, you can get a sense of it because it just keeps going. But he would respond to like Sam Altman, the CEO and founder of OpenAI, and be like, buy me this graphics card or give me a monitor or something. Like he would just like keep doing that. And, like people just kept buying him things. Then it became a thing where like it lost interest because then people I think just wanted to become part of the event and they were just buying him things. But amid all of the things he was buying for a computer, he was also asking for Thomas Pynchon novels.
Oh, okay.
So that's that. Anyway.
How did you come upon this story?
It was in another Substack that I read called Read Max, which I've told you about before. He talks about internet stuff, but also books and movies and music and stuff like that. And he said, I'm reading this. Check it out. So anyway, Pynchon last time, Vineland. I did not do any 1990 facts. So I have 90 facts and 91 facts. Let me know when we are all said and done here if you want this format to keep going or if you want new and different things. But here we go, 1990 facts. The number one movie of the year. Do you know what the number one movie of the year was in 1990? Ghost.
Oh, okay.
Patrick Swayze, Demi Moore. Do you know what the 1991 number one movie of the year was?
Give me a hint.
We saw it in theaters last year.
Oh, shit. Terminator 2?
Terminator 2 Judgment Day, top grossing film of the year. Number one Billboard Hot 100 song of the year from 1990. Hold On by Wilson Phillips.
You could have given me a million guesses, and I never would have gotten that.
91 is maybe more notable because it spent a record-breaking 16 weeks at number one.
That will be the Whitney Houston song from Bodyguard.
Everything I Do it for you by Bryan Adams.
Sure, from the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves soundtrack.
Yes, which I just heard on a years-old episode of With Gorley and Russ yesterday that said the only reason to watch that movie is for the guy who plays Hans Gruber, whose name
Alan Rickman
as the villain. He's like really good.
Yeah, he's fun. I liked that movie a lot when I was a kid, but it's like, when you're like 8,
silly stuff is good.
It's like bow and arrows and sword fighting and
1990, the first full season of The Simpsons because it debuted in 1989.
Sure. In
1990, also, the Super Nintendo launched in Japan, came to North America in 1991, and the first commercial web browser, World Wide Web, later renamed Nexus, was developed by Tim Berners-Lee. And then in 91, Twin Peaks wrapped its 2-year season, series, run, even though it's now back, or was back. The World Wide Web officially went live for public use, and for the first time ever, CDs outsold vinyl records. That's 1991. You like those facts? Or you want different kind of facts?
Well, no, I like those facts, but can we tie them into Vineland at all?
Oh, well.
I mean, like, do you think that because Vineland takes place in 1984?
Yeah, so I think, the original Nintendo was out in 1984, so there's a little bit of that.
And also I think like Vineland is very much like a novel where when you're reading it, you're like, we're sort of on the brink of
the world really changing forever. Yes.
Like being...
Speak of novels predicting the future.
Yeah. Well, we'll let you go into that more when we get to it.
I don't have any more facts.
Okay.
Yeah, DeLillo, this is...
I
was talking to my and Margaret's favorite indie bookseller about Mao 2 because we visited his shop the day after I started reading this book. I was like, you read this? He's like, no. He's like, what do you like so far? I'm like, I'm 10 pages in, but there's 6,500 couples getting married at Yankee Stadium. He goes, sounds DeLillo. I was like, yep.
Yeah. Were you familiar at all with the Moonies?
No.
Okay.
So a lot of the historical stuff in this, I don't know whether I know that there are names, there are places and stuff that are very much true. And I Googled one or two things and know that they are time-wise, they match up. And I also have a quote or like things that he had pulled from like 1989 that like inspired him to write this. But the historical context of like what this is kind of about, I don't really know. So like, how true is this?
How true is what?
Like the real world events in Mao 2.
I mean, Moonies are a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine, I don't know if they had a thing at Yankee Stadium, but I think I think they had those mass marriage events. Yeah, it was a huge cult.
Yeah.
That like freaked about a lot of people out because their like kids were running away to it and stuff.
So the book starts with 6,500 couples getting married at Yankee Stadium and the parents of one girl on the field in the stands trying to find their daughter.
Yeah, and being like, we never go back to those parents, which is kind of fun.
Right.
But being like, having the reaction that you would have as parents at a weird religious event that you don't understand. And the dad keeps being like, oh, we're not going to go to the Broadway show tonight. I have to get home and like figure out what this is about. I'm going to look up everything that we can look up.
And I thought it was very DeLillo. I thought it was very like in terms of like New York baseball language, dialogue between characters.
Well, baseball, like that's a stretch, but it is like when you open the book up and it says Yankee Stadium, immediately in your brain you think, oh, I just read Underworld. That was the last book, right?
Right.
And so.
No, Underworld's the next book.
Oh, Underworld's the next book?
I think so. I think Libra is before this and Underworld's after this. Hold on. I might have gotten that wrong. Hold on. Let me look this up.
I thought Underworld was before this one.
Libra in 88, this in 91, Underworld in 97.
Okay, yeah.
So, but yes. But I mean, like, End Zone is about sports. Like, there's sports reference and other stuff. You know what I mean? So, but I thought it was essentially, because I have not yet read Libra. We've talked about Libra for a potential future module. I thought this could be an alternate history where, like, sort of like Red Dawn in a way where like we are under attack and like China rules.
Oh, that was your start, sort of more maybe more similar to the Philip K. Dick book. That's about that.
Oh, I've not read that.
Man in High Tower.
Oh yes, that was the Amazon show.
Yeah,
but it's not that at all, and like it strays from that. And
it's if anything, very very dull and very very realistic.
Yeah. Which is what he does.
Yeah, it's super boring. It's a very boring book.
Well, it's like, is End Zone about nuclear war? Kind of, but not really.
It's about people talking about nuclear war.
Which is better,
well,
right?
I mean, it appeals to something very specific within me.
Right.
But there's definitely a lot of people who, reading that, think, where are the explosions?
Because I also thought, in the same way that we asked Cholosky about where's your kaiju thing? Where is your story where it's a young girl looking for love or whatever in New York, and there's kaijus. I'm not saying running amok again, and there's kaijus down the street. I thought here it was going to be China has invaded and taken over, or whatever the plot would be, but we're still following a writer. So like when we transition to New York and we meet Britta, we meet Scott, and it's like, oh no, this is just gonna be like, this is just normal. Like this is just like normal things. And she's a photojournalist looking to take pictures of authors. And I'm like, oh, we're just like in a normal world.
A little similar to The Silence, which is about a massive power outage, but we're just at a house that's at a Super Bowl party, and you don't get all of the riots in the streets and the heavy drama of that. You get other stuff. Mm-hmm. You get the conversations about the nature of a power outage.
But again, he uses this thing to talk about a bigger thing, which is we don't care about art because terror invades us all. Or not that we don't care about art, but we don't have space for art.
That more that terrorism has overtaken the position that artists once had, because artists used to command the psychology of people, and now terrorism has that job. Now terrorism commands the psychology of people. We used to spend all day thinking about paintings and movies, and now we think all day about 9/11.
Yeah.
I mean, 9/11 hadn't happened in the book, but
very early, it's like World Trade Center, New York, terrorism. And it's like, hold on. But then I remembered that there was the other terrorist attack, but that was 93. That wasn't even.
Yeah. He's Don
DeLillo
has been thinking about terrorism and crowds.
Yeah.
For forever. Like these are his, like, this is a book about crowd psychology.
Yep.
Art, terrorism,
Language,
and cultural figures, right? And so, in many ways, this is sort of the DeLillo text, I guess.
So for a while, this again fell into the trap that I keep noticing where in books, people fucking love books. Like when you watch movies, like people like admire, like they pay homage to like movies and like they go see movies or whatever. Time and time again, a lot of times in books that we're reading, people are carrying books, they're reading books, they're talking about books, they're about authors.
Yeah.
And here I'm like, oh, we got this reclusive author, like he's like this celebrity. And then he subverts by me like, oh no, but actually kind of no one cares or no one's going to care about him. And there's also a fear that like if more information about him goes out to the world, people will care about him less, or they will not care about him, but not like him anymore.
Right. If Thomas Pynchon gave an interview where there were a bunch of photos of him,
right,
people would be like, ooh.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I wanted my guy. I wanted him to die the way that I have been fetishizing him for this entire time.
So I thought for a while it was going to be, oh, here we go, another book about how books are great. And I thought maybe for a little while, like DeLillo was maybe doing a meta thing about himself, even though like this is an older reclusive guy and he's still in the beginning of his career here.
No, not at the beginning of his career.
Middle of career?
Yeah, he'd had some hits by this point.
I thought it might be about him in a way, but then you thought it was about Pynchon who blurbed this. And there's also a section on the wiki that just is like Pynchon's blurb, because I guess maybe that's rare. Is that rare from the blurb?
Yes. Yeah, that's super rare. The only other one that I can think of is he wrote the intro to Been Down So Long It Looks Like Up to Me. And there might be like one or two others. Like I think maybe he blurbed Stoner or something like that. But yeah, it's rare. And I think probably ultimately this ends up being more about DeLillo than it does Pynchon.
Right.
But I think Pynchon is the model or the other one, the other like maybe more than Pynchon is Salinger. Because Salinger is a guy that disappeared.
So
he like lived in upstate New York. You could get to him, I guess, but he was very like cagey about being photographed and all that stuff.
So am I right that in this world, in this text, Bill Gray has written 2 books and he's got this third written book that isn't...
Oh, I don't know how many books he's written.
Because I got the sense there was one part where he was saying it's either this book or the other book. So like maybe it's 2 that he's known for or something, but I got the sense in like one little brief, not that it matters, but like he doesn't have like a huge expansive body of work, but there is this finished manuscript that he keeps tinkering with.
Yeah.
And never wants to release. And Scott, his sort of right-hand man, also is just like, this is going to be a massive because he's also kind of maybe fearful and wants to just content with what's going on the way things are going now.
Well, maybe that does feel more like Salinger then.
Because he only wrote a couple things, right?
He wrote
short stories.
1 book of short stories, 2 novellas, and
Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
Because there's also the same thing with Harper Lee didn't even have her second book put out till after she died, right? Like to Set a Watchman, right? Yeah. Was posthumous. So I don't know, but it does feel, if not about Pynchon, if not about DeLillo, then about that like mythologized American author. Maybe also the same way that you were saying he's been thinking about crowds and terrorism for also just sees like, oh, like MTV exists and movies are, multiplexes are starting or whatever. And people are going to care less about books and the great American novel and the great American novelist.
Sure.
So
I was actually thinking when reading this.
Had you read this before or no?
No.
Okay.
The novelist does not hold the kind of cultural position that they did in any previous decade. It's diminished to the point where like, I think we do think of DeLillo as being important and we think of Pynchon as being important. To like a very small degree, Dave Eggers is important culturally. But we don't have people like Norman Mailer or even Philip Roth or...
In terms of like people who write about like the great...
or like celebrities.
Yeah.
Like Norman Mailer, any given week could be on the Dick Cavett show. Like when was the last time you saw a novelist?
Has Stephen King been on talk shows or no?
Maybe, but Stephen King is not occupying the same place that Norman Mailer.
Well, because also like Stephen King is occupying the place that at the end when Bill is talking to the 2 veterinarians or the couple veterinarians or whatever, and like, oh, you're a writer. Has your stuff become movies? Have we seen the movies? He's like,
yeah.
So if people maybe they know Stephen King, but they might not have read a Stephen King book, they'd be like, oh, I saw The Shining.
I mean, Stephen King is a great. I like Stephen King a lot as a writer, but he is a pop culture figure in a way that someone like Philip Roth is not. People do not look to Stephen King for important cultural takes. And in fact, when Stephen King does give cultural takes, because he is fairly political on Twitter and things like that, his takes are not, they're whatever. They're like very, very by the book liberal takes. He's not writing essays like Norman Mailer that are shaking things up and making people reconsider culture.
I mean, it's the equivalent now, and I'm not saying that as a joke about us. Like, is it podcasters? Is it like Mark Maron who's like replacing the author?
I mean, maybe, but that's but again, that's not novels. That's
right.
like it's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
I would say more like Mark Maron is replacing like
a radio host or something,
or like Joe Rogan is replacing Howard Stern. That's more
right. Yeah. It is like the death of a thing.
Yeah, there's no one stepping in to fill that void. I mean, even like Jonathan Franzen is a fairly popular figure, but you can't. Nobody on your block has read a Franzen novel, you know.
Maybe. I mean, like, there's the people that we know, but like Levin, like, there's people who are trying, but he's not. He's doing a different thing.
Nobody knows who he is.
I know.
I mean,
but I'm not saying about like knowing. I'm just saying people.
No, but knowing is the important thing. It's about being like a popular figure that goes out in culture and is recognized by people and can move the needle in a conversation.
Right.
I don't think that exists anymore.
I think because people don't read anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like if there was a new person like this who started writing, people would not like it. People would not read it.
Right.
They would know about it. They would tweet about it. They wouldn't read it.
Yeah. It's always interesting when the last thing I remember being a mass pop culture moment for literature was that short story Cat Person.
Yep.
In the New Yorker. That's the last thing I remember.
You mean like adult literature or like not beach reads?
Yeah, that stuff doesn't count because
like Harry Potter was huge and Twilight was huge.
But that's entertainment. That's got nothing to do with I mean, whatever. You know, there are Avengers.
You're talking about like authors trying to do things.
Yeah, there are Avengers movies, but there's not like that's different from Jean-Luc Godard or Kubrick or whatever.
Right.
It's kind of an annoying conversation. I feel like people are listening are being annoyed.
No, I don't know, because I feel like if you're listening to a podcast that's about books, you're already kind of in the bag for something. And if you're listening to an episode about a Don DeLillo book, you're kind of also probably in the bag for a little bit of something else. But we can also just stray from it. But you love this book.
I do. I find it, it's like very boring.
Yeah. Nothing
happens really. The drama that does happen is so subdued. Like a bomb goes off, but it's like not really a big deal. And then he gets hit by a car, and it's like that's not really a big deal. And then he dies, and it's like you could just miss that part of the book if you're reading.
It's like because they also like DeLillo like almost probably not almost, but like intentionally like uses like he and him, like he uses like pronouns in a way that's like not explicitly that Bill is there dying.
Yeah,
that it could be Bill picking from, but like you just have to be like, oh no, like it makes sense that like this guy who has cuts on his face and like, you know, older man or whatever is dead. And then they're going to steal his passport to sell it to people to make a couple extra bucks. So
the book starts with the marriage ceremony.
Yep.
And then we go to Bill's house.
Well, we go to New York when Scott picks up Britta. He meets Britta.
Right. And the woman tries to give him a baby.
A baby.
Yeah.
And Karen's like, you should have taken that baby.
Right. Yeah. You could have saved that baby.
Yeah. I did like, I mean, it feels inevitable that Karen is Karen.
Karen is the daughter of the parents at the. She's the unification.
Like 15 or 18 years. It's years later, right? Yeah. And she's in a relationship with both Bill and Scott, or sleeping with them. Maybe not in a relationship, but
I think she's in a relationship with Scott and sleeping with Bill. And Britta is doing a project where she's taking photos of authors.
I think every author, like she wants to photograph every author.
Yeah, unknown, known, anyone who's a writer, she wants to take their photo. And this photo exists as sort of like, I hate to use photography as a metaphor here because we're talking about photography.
Do it.
But these photos almost are a negative photograph of the author because it is a representation of their image and the idea of spectacle rather than the text that normally is used to represent an author. So it's a opposite of how they normally are presented. And DeLillo is doing something here that's kind of strange, because I think he does this in a lot of his books where he introduces art. Like in Point Omega, he introduced the 24-hour psycho thing. Falling Man, there's the like performance art of the falling man. And he's a fan of a kind of art that is very abstract, to the point where it's like the person doing it also is kind of like, I don't know. I'm not really, this just feels like what I need to do, and I'm doing it and making it. And the purpose of it is that it's an object that I've made.
That Britta is like on a mission that even she can't explain.
Yeah, it's a compulsion. It's got nothing to do with theory or analysis or anything like that. It's like, leave the analysis to people afterwards. I'm just doing this thing because it feels like exactly what I need to be doing in this moment to create.
I mean, it also, and maybe it's because Bill is this like revered author, but it feels like the amount of effort she is going to, the time she takes, the number of photos she shoots.
Yeah.
If you were to extrapolate that to every author, known and unknown on the planet,
right,
would be wildly costly.
Yeah, yeah.
But maybe just because like it's like you get an hour with pension, like you're going to shoot
right. Yeah, I think it's
hundreds of photos.
Yeah, and she's
whatever.
using it as an opportunity to have a conversation with him, and that's where sort of some of this conversation about terrorism and terrorism replacing writing as the focal point of cultural conversation comes from.
How outspoken was, not outspoken, that's the wrong word, but how much does DeLillo, because I know he's still alive, but he hasn't written a thing since Point Omega, or since
no,
the Silence.
Yeah, he's written a bunch of stuff since Point Omega.
4 years ago. Wait, when did Point Omega come out?
2010. Angel Esmeralda came out after Point Omega.
See, I came to everything.
Zero K came out after Point Omega.
How much press did he do for his books?
I don't know. I've seen him. I saw him read from White Noise once.
Really?
Yeah, and I have an autographed copy of White Noise.
That's cool.
It is cool.
Did you meet him?
I did.
Did sign it?
Yeah. And I said, your work means a lot to me. And he said, thank you.
Cool.
And that's it.
Nice.
But it was a little sad because, do you know who Dana Spiotta is?
No.
She wrote a book called Eat the Document, and she was there. It was a double reading. It was she was reading with DeLillo. And Dana Spiotta is great. She's a great writer. And afterwards, they set up two tables, and the DeLillo line was like, and the Dana Spiotta line was, there's nobody, because everyone was just like, obviously that's going to happen,
right?
So it's like, why even put her there to do that? It feels like a humiliation ritual.
Have them share a table.
Yeah.
And you get to meet both at the same time.
Yeah, you had to buy a book there, though. You couldn't bring your own book.
Well, yeah. Well, I've not gone to a ton of authors' readings, but when I have, it's always like you buy the book to get the ticket or whatever, and you can like usually bring another book as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I have an autograph. I have Salman Rushdie autographed first edition of Satanic Verses for me.
Nice.
Which is nice, yeah. But I think that book is probably not worth any money because it was sitting in my house with like my dad chain smoking for 20 years.
Salman Rushdie, one of the figures that led to the book in a way.
Yeah, of course, because of the
fatwa.
Yeah.
And photographer said ambush J.D. Salinger in New Hampshire. So maybe it is about it. So DeLillo cited the published Salinger photograph and a photograph of the Unification Church blessing ceremony came across as inspiration, saying, quote, I didn't know it at the time, but these two pictures would represent the polar extremes of Mao Tzu, the arch-individualist and the mass mind, from the mind of the terrorist to the mind of the mass organization. In both cases, it's the death of the individual that is to be accomplished before their aims can be realized.
Yeah, and obviously like Salman Rushdie and the fatwa is the marriage of like the very literal crashing together of terrorism and writing.
Mm-hmm. I like that this, and maybe just because I would hope that I would pick up on this in a normal year. But I like that this, because especially getting married, we'll be married by the time this episode comes out, that it starts and ends with a wedding. Like very, very different weddings, or weddings, plural, and the singular wedding at the end.
Yeah.
And also the gunfire, photo, camera, flash.
Yeah. And you're also getting married in Sung Myung Moon's
I did make
Unification Church.
a very dumb joke about how this is my wedding's going to be like, but no. I don't have a lot of notes. I have like a lot of, because it feels, I like highlighted a lot of things in the Kindle because it feels, like I said to you, very few pages in. Like it's so nice just to be back in his arms after difficulty of Pynchon in terms of like comprehension and like understanding like what plot. Like they're almost on other ends of the spectrum in terms of amount of plot, but also maybe not really, because they're sort of like not a ton. Like you could sort of boil down Violent to like very little plot as well.
I think it's more a style issue. I think DeLillo's sentences are incredibly crisp and clean, and he doesn't look for any actual vocal patterns in people speaking. It seems like all of his characters are speaking in monotones, and they're speaking in really perfect little delicious bite-sized sandwiches of words.
The best.
And then Pynchon is a way dirtier writer. He's all over the place. He's, if he were a sandwich, he'd be a sloppy Joe. There's shit spilling out on all sides, and he's trying to catch vocal rhythms. His characters are interrupting themselves. They're interrupting each other. The plot is interrupting itself, and it's interrupting, it's all over the place, and it's not clean. It's incredibly messy writing. And
very different aims too.
Yeah. But they also seem like guys that would really get along, because I think they probably ultimately share a worldview.
Well, especially like if Pynchon's going to blurb DeLillo, they probably hung.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
I hope so.
I did say to you, I'm just reading through the highlights now, that but DeLillo and Ween are the only two artists that I've ever seen reference Tricolor Pasta.
Yeah.
From my favorite Ween song.
Yeah, that's a weird favorite Ween song.
Well, I don't know. It just worked. I just love that. And then in this, from the song The Party, and then in this on page 55, want to live like other people eating tricolor pasta in trattorias near the park. It's like tricolor pasta. Okay.
Okay, so plot-wise, what happens then is he takes his, he leaves.
Bill
leaves sort of unannounced and goes to the city to go to his agent.
In London, right?
No, in New York first.
New York, okay.
And his agent wants to see his book, but he's also like, look, man, we have this other thing for you. Terrorists in Beirut have kidnapped this kid. And this kid is a Swiss poet, writes in French. And we think that you reading his poetry would do a lot to get him back. We've arranged something. The arrangements are sort of abstract to me.
Like a secret sort of reading where some press will be there, but they won't know where they're going. And then it keeps getting...
But also maybe in return for doing that reading, which brings publicity to the terror group has agreed to let the guy go or something like that. There is, he's very, the psychology of terror in DeLillo books are really interesting, because they do fall in line with stuff that you hear about, like school shootings and things like that, which is like in this, the idea is we'll use this famous author to read this kid's poems, and it will signal boost this terror group. And in signal boosting this terror group, you might get the kid free, but you're also going to obviously advance the ideas of terrorism that this group has, which we know is a bad idea.
But it also feels, if you want to be like pessimistic or realistic about it, like their message is going to get out anyway. Like in the nature of the world, in the nature of like, it just feels, maybe not. Maybe like if they never did this, like they would never be heard from again. But it feels like there's momentum that like if we know about it here, if the press knows about it or whatever.
Does the press know about it?
Not the press, but I mean like
just like a literary agent.
The literary press.
He's been contacted
the House,
by,
yes.
Yeah.
But like if they know about it, then like who is to say or what is to say that there's not more out there, or I don't know. You know what I mean? Like they can't just.
I think in this context, the novel is to say that, and the novel like tells us differently.
Well, I think that there is something when like we are suddenly in the perspective also of the prisoner for like a chapter, thinking about like the way that he's trying to impress the captors and like trying to count the number of bricks and like relate to them and speak their language and learn the language and whatever. I was both like surprised that we went there and also felt like, of course we were going to go there. Like there was something, I don't know how to describe it better than that like it caught me off guard, but also did not surprise me. Does that make sense?
I guess so.
Where it's like, this feels like a place that we would wind up in this kind of novel.
Yeah.
But then there's more about like getting to him and how that impacts other people, specifically the people that we know,
So Bill goes to London, agrees to do this thing,
the reading.
goes to London, and every time that he's about to go do the reading, something happens. Eventually a bomb goes off.
There's bomb threats that get called in first, and then the bomb goes off, yeah.
And then he is staying at a hotel, not telling his agent where he is, sort of secretly staying at a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And then starts wandering around and kind of like decides to do this on his own, right? And he's going to go figure it out. And then he gets hit by a car.
Yep.
And his internal bleeding.
Because he's an alcoholic, and also because he gets hit basically in the liver.
Yeah, his internal bleeding ultimately kills him.
Yep.
And it's nothing. He's just a guy that disappeared from the world.
Because it also, like you were saying before in the recap, that like he leaves without saying anything to Scott or to Karen, but it feels like he does this fairly often. He just eventually, like, at some point will call Scott and be like, come get me. Here's where I am.
Yeah, and Scott and Karen, but Scott knows that something's wrong because Scott is saying like, well, what do we do? Do we contact his family? Will we still be allowed to live in the house?
Well, at the very end, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think like for a while, I think he's just like aimless because his guy is not there.
Right. Yeah.
Like he's just like, how about I reorganize all of the fan letters to like chronological by country sent or whatever? Just like that doesn't make any sense. But
yeah.
I think that also might be like why I think there's only 2 books. Is he's like letters about one book or letters about the other book. I think that's what it was. But yeah, I think at a certain point he's just like, oh, maybe like, oh, the dog will always come home or whatever. Oh, the dog's never actually been away this long. Like maybe something happened to the dog.
Yeah. And then the book ends with Britta in Beirut taking photos of
the terrorists who
the terrorist group that
kidnapped the author,
kidnapped the author. Yeah. And she's, but by this point, she's completely detached from Bill and from her entire project of taking photos of authors.
Now she's like a war journalist or something.
It's like essentially a coincidence that she's there. But I like the part where she yanks the hood off that kid's head and then he goes to fight her and she like fights back against him and stuff. That part's good.
What also feels like the way that Bill is getting instructions from people as he's like, how do I get to Beirut? How do I get, like, what do I do? He's like, well, you have to like pretend like you've been there before and like negotiate, like show maps or whatever. And like, we don't see him do that because he dies on the way there, but we see her do that about, talking like not sweet talking taxi drivers, but like sweet talking taxi drivers and like figuring out how to get there and then sort of walking out and being like, no, I'm here with a purpose. I'm gonna do my thing. And it was nice that we saw like she is kind of completing his vision.
Yeah, a little bit.
Instead of her vision. Yeah.
What about Andy Warhol? What about the pop art of the whole thing? And why is it called Mao 2?
I also thought that Mao 2 was going to be like knowing who Mao was vaguely, again, not really being good at history, but knowing Mao was a Chinese dictator. Is that the right term? Yes?
Yeah.
No?
He's an authoritarian. Yeah. He forced modernization on China and like killed a lot of people and starved a lot of people to death while invoking a form of communism. Wrote a book called The Little Red Book, which is still incredibly popular.
Right.
Very really smart, charismatic guy that is, a lot of people put him up there with the great villains of the 20th century.
I thought, given the title and given the way this opens, there was like the Chinese invasion that I was like foreseeing that never happened. I thought there would be like a second dictator or something like also named Mao, that they were calling Mao 2, that he was like the one leading this invasion.
You were unfamiliar with the Andy Warhol portrait.
Right. And so I Googled this and I found that it was real. But in my head, when like very early on after the prologue, when Scott is like walking around New York City and like before he meets Spurt, he's like, I'm going to go stop by the museum first. And like he sees that. I'm just like, is this real or is this like the world in which he is seeing? Because I was like, maybe in this world, in the world of the novel, Andy Warhol exists. Mao 2, this dictator that doesn't exists in this world, and like Andy Warhol does art about him as commentary. I did not know that Mao 2 was about Mao.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think you're crazy for doing that, for reading like that though. Just like stop making predictions. Just let the book happen.
Well, I wasn't making predictions. I was just like trying to make sense because I'm not looking ahead.
Yeah.
When you're opening a Yankee Stadium, there's a Chinese like cult leader marrying 13,000 people. Yeah. It's like,
if you don't
what is going on?
If you don't have the cultural context for that and for Andy Warhol and stuff, it can read kind of like a alternate history novel.
Like I think the thing you need to always keep in mind is that you are 4 years older and also way more read than I am.
I mean, whatever. I don't think that.
But that's where I went to. And then I was like, is this a real thing? And I'm like, okay, it is a real thing about Mao. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the copy of the copy. It's just the amplification or the like whatever Warhol was trying to like elevate common things into art.
Yeah, or not even common things, because Mao, like Marilyn Monroe or John Wayne or whatever, is not a common.
Well, I'm just thinking about like the cannibal soup.
Right, but those are cultural flashpoints, and people that exist as part of the collective consciousness and are used to represent way more than just who they are as human beings, but are used to represent entire eras and movements and humanity. And there's maybe no more influential person in the last, I don't know how many 100 years in Chinese history than Mao.
Right. So this is also, in a way, saying that terrorists or villains or whatever will become rock stars.
Yeah,
both
kind of.
Warhol
Right.
and also what DeLillo's doing.
Yeah. Yes, there are people that love Mao, the same way there are people that love Stalin. And,
Sure.
And they're, there's like a segment of the left in America that is like loves Mao. But famously in Beatles, Revolution Number 9, right? There's the lyric, "If you go carrying pictures of Chairman Mao, you ain't gonna make it with anyone anyhow." Because he's commenting directly on the 1960s left that was idolizing some people who are like genocidal dictators.
Got it.
Because they are also advocating leftist ideals. And John Lennon is saying, well, I'm not having that. We have to actually be about peace. We can't be about these leftist ideals while also forcing them on people in a way that starves them and causes bloodshed and violence and things like that.
Got it. Do you think it's a good title for the book?
Yeah, I like it. It's very evocative.
So you were familiar with the art before the book?
I don't know that I had. If you had asked me if Andy Warhol had done a portrait of Mao, I would have said probably.
Right.
I don't know if it was something that I knew off the top of my head, but
like when Scott goes to the museum, you're like, oh, okay, that.
Or in my copy of it, that I got from the library, like there's a bunch of the Warhol portraits on the cover of it, and that to me was immediately recognizable as Andy Warhol.
But also, like, you could copy that. I mean, especially now easily with computers,
sure.
but also
Yes,
back then
yes.
you could have been like the same.
Yes. Yeah.
Crazy reading ahead that I was trying to do incorrectly.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that with anybody, anything.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but
I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to be.
No, I know.
I apologize. I didn't mean that to.
Because also it was only like that's maybe 15 pages. Like it's not very long.
Yeah,
I'm just like, hold on, what's going on here?
Yeah, I didn't mean for that to come off as critical as I sounded.
You're fine.
Okay.
You've said way meaner things to me on this podcast, both jokingly and in earnest.
And off mic.
And off mic. The egg wrote in an email. We'll get back to the conversation, but I just want to read this because it is a quick email.
She said it was a short one.
It's the shortest she's ever written, maybe.
Wow.
lottery@cageclub.me if you want to write in. I ran out of time to write my email, so I'm going to send this quick one maybe? So quick she can't even proofread. Then probably send a longer one about the book for your next recording day. I really like this book. I found it fascinating the way that it went into the complexities of cults, both formal ones like the Moonies and informal, the followers of Bill.
That's it?
Yep.
No, that's smart. That's good. I like what she said. I agree. Do you think of fandom as a cult?
Yeah. I think that there is. I mean, I think also like that has been exacerbated, and is exacerbated always made worse or just amplified?
I think made worse.
Exacerbated by social media, where everyone is so quick to defend or to stand or to whatever.
Yeah, because I think more than ever, I don't know, because I think probably like Beatlemania was like this. But it feels like now, whether you like or dislike, I mean, Taylor Swift is the most obvious example, but like people try to use whether you like or dislike Taylor Swift as some like moral test, which is insane.
Right. Yep.
Like obviously people who, there's probably as big as the whole sky. That's Taylor Swift's song, right?
Sure.
Is it? It is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's probably as within the Taylor Swift fandom, there are as many types of people as there are people in the world.
Yes.
So like trying to like use Taylor Swift fandom as any sort of barometer of how a person is insane.
I mean, it also does feel like, and I didn't think about this, and I'm not saying she is going to do this because I don't think it's going to happen, but it feels like the way that we have become so fractured by so many different things, it feels like, and again, not her for many reasons, that kind of like cross-sectional unification could, in the right circumstance, bring people together.
For sure. Yes. Yeah.
Like, and they'll bring it together. Obviously, like if you go to like, you see the Eras tour and there's like 60,000 people in the stadium with you, like you're all there for one reason, because you all like the same thing, same person, same music, same whatever. But I can see, I don't know what it could be, when it could be, whatever, but like something like that is liked by say 2 billion people, that like is like, oh, we're actually not that different. Like, let's stop being so crazy.
Well, she could, and she very well may have. I don't know that much about Taylor Swift, but she could, I'm sure she has, directed this power toward various charities and things like that.
Well, so there's a documentary called Miss Americana where it's about her touring, but also Tennessee politicians putting out like very like staunch conservative. I don't remember if it's anti-gay or whatever, anti-trans. Right. And she's like, I have to speak up about this. And like, so every election since then, she has been vocally, sort of less and less so, but like democratic and like saying like who she is going to vote for and who whatever. And then when Kamala got the nomination, she like championed her. Didn't matter. But she has tried. She could definitely do more, but everybody could do more.
Well, but she's not doing a Michael Jordan, like Republicans also buy shoes.
No, correct. No, she is like explicitly like vote for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Still, she's still saying that. It's very weird.
Yeah, it's interesting to she has to be the celebrity that's most embodies. I mean, Beyonce was kind of like it too. And you get like, obviously there's an incredibly positive aspect of that, but and Beyonce had that Donald Glover TV show, The Swarm, that was about like
fandom,
like crazy fans that
fandom,
do like murders and things like that because of it. So this the like cult psychology of fandom is really, really strange. I mean,
and I think, is it just like, has it always been musicians like the Beatles and Taylor Swift and sort of Bieber to like a lesser extent, but also
Michael Jackson?
Like movie stars aren't like that. Like movie stars are like huge.
I don't think quite as much. No, because
what is it about music that does that like inspires such like? Is it just like?
Because I think
is it the way that like it literally affects our brain chemistry?
I think it bypasses logic and intellectual analysis in a way that movies or books don't.
And also maybe with movies, like you have a cast and a crew and a director and a writer, and there's a lot of people like Tom Cruise is the best, but it's like, well, that movie is not just like a Tom Cruise movie is not like a Taylor Swift album, right? It's like, this is probably a similar type of thing, but also could go any number of different directions. Whereas Taylor Swift is like, it's still going to be her vision.
I think probably outside of politicians like Donald Trump, the most popular person in the world at any given moment is probably a musician.
Mm-hmm.
Or an athlete. But athletes it's the same thing, because athletes are the same thing as music, because like witnessing a body in motion doing extraordinary things is primal. It's not intellectual. It's not analytical.
It's also like there's an envy there, right? Like, I wish I could do that. I wish I could dunk like LeBron or whatever.
You see it and it just activates a part of you that goes, whoa, that's like you watch gymnastics and it's like unbelievable what that human being is doing with her body.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm sure people feel that about, Messi or whatever.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch soccer.
We got to get a novelist to do that. People like reading the book. Like it does feel like, and I'm just thinking when you were saying the watching in awe, but just like maybe because it also triggered in my brain because it's athletic, but at the end of Owen Meany where there's like the shot, it's like, I don't know how he did this 600-page magic trick, but he did this thing.
Mm-hmm. The thing, right. It takes
you still want to fight him, right?
Yeah. I still think he would beat me up because he's a very good wrestler, even though he's probably 85 years old now. It's interesting because a novel like Owen Meany is 600 pages or whatever, and that takes a lot of dedication, but it doesn't take more dedication than watching the Lakers for an entire season and then have that culminate in LeBron hitting a 3-pointer in the playoffs, right? Like if you add up the time that it took you to read Owen Meany and then you added up all the time that you spent watching
No, but it's also an isolationary or like a solitary activity versus a communal activity if you want it to be so.
Right.
You don't have to watch every game. You theoretically have to read every word.
Yes.
You have to pay attention. You can't be like drunk while reading. Be like, oh, that was a hell of a game last night. Be like, wait, what happened?
Yeah. All good points.
But yes, you are right. But like taking, even if you read 10 pages an hour, that's going to take you 60 hours. That is what, 25 basketball games? It's a third of a season, third of a regular season. That's one playoff run, basically.
How fast do you read? Have we ever talked about this before? Do you roughly know?
I should read more slowly. Like this is like when there's dialogue, I read more quickly because it's just easier to consume.
There's less words on a page, fewer words on a page. And your body.
I wasn't going to.
Your body was reacting. I saw the tides, the lunar tides shifting within you.
No, I've corrected you on that enough that you know that it drives me a little crazy. So I just was going to let it go, and then I trained you well.
I
would say ballpark barometer is like a page a minute, but that's too fast. Like I should.
Right.
It depends.
Depends on the author.
Like I can tell you for sure, the Pynchon stuff was not that fast.
The only time that I ever really timed myself was I was reading Against the Day. Well, I guess the Kindle times you automatically,
but I don't keep that because that drives me crazy.
Yeah. Because you're like, it's like when you're driving and you're trying to burn minutes off the GPS,
which we did successfully.
Yeah, hell yeah. I remember I was working at my beach job and I was reading Against the Day, and Against the Day is not only a very long book, but it's a very difficult book on a page by page basis, and also the copy that I had, the pages were big. There were a lot of words on them, and I was reading 10 pages every half hour.
I mean, I will also usually. So I looked at this book. I'm like, okay, this is 240 pages. Like, I will that's going to take me 4 hours.
Yeah.
And the way that we have the podcast, I think we've said this before, is it averages out that in theory. I think it might be less. I don't know. In theory, over the course of a season, it should be 30 pages a day will let you keep up with the entire thing.
That's right.
Because I would like to read more than I do. I just don't have the time or the brain power or the bandwidth or whatever.
You read more than...
Right. But the goal is I try to read 40 pages a day. But that's a very big difference between if it's going to take me 40 minutes or if it's going to take me an hour 20.
Yeah.
Because then it's all of a sudden we're oh, okay, we can record this in a week. It's well, it's going to take me 2.5 weeks to get through this because I don't understand it if I read that quickly or whatever. I can't have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
If I'm blowing through that quickly.
Are you, because we go Pynchon and then we go DeLillo and then we go McCarthy.
Yeah.
And I would argue McCarthy is the most difficult of those three, right?
I mean, it depends, but probably. I mean,
have you started on All the Pretty Horses yet?
No, I just finished this today.
Okay. I have not started on All the Pretty Horses yet either, but I know
when you text me and say, what's the next book? I'm like, oh, here he goes. He's starting already.
No, that's not it.
But no.
I was at the library.
I figured.
Yeah. Because I don't own all the
Pretty Horses. Also, a lot of the authors in this module, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I know Irvine Welsh is going to have some kind of language stuff that might be difficult.
Dialect.
I've read a Philip Roth or two, so I know roughly what that is. But the other authors that we have, a Chi Mao Jin and William Voldman, I think is probably going to be tough. And then Chris Kraus, Barbara Kingsolver. I'm like, I don't know what those are. So I'm just going to ballpark. This book is 500 pages. It's going to take a long time.
Kraus will be pretty easy. Kingsolver, the language isn't difficult. Vollman, I think that's the easiest Vollman book.
Okay.
But this is a difficult module as far as the level of each book, but it's also the module that I took the least amount of risk on. Well, I also on think a book by book basis.
We said this before. I don't want just cotton candy every time. If every book is, and I don't think that this book was not cotton candy. It was just easier to get through and more enjoyable, but it's not easy necessarily.
Well, also you are, and this is just what happens. As you read DeLillo, Meg actually texted this to me before, because she said that this was her favorite of the DeLillo books we read. And I said, oh, that's really interesting to me. And she said, well, I think part of it is that I've learned how to read DeLillo now.
Oh yeah.
Because this is the third or fourth book that she's read.
Well, I also think Endzone was the first one. I'm just oh, holy shit. And I still have not hit that high again. I think there may be books that are more daring by him or more, I don't want to say inventive, but he's doing other things that are more complex or that maybe are better, but Endzone is still just
Endzone rules. There's no, but I think there is a sense that
this is the third we've done of his for this. We've done Endzone and Underworld and this.
Endzone, Underworld, this, yeah.
Because I was saying to
And
my
then on your own, what else have you read by him? White Noise?
I was running through this with the shopkeeper about like talking about Mautu. I'm like, I think I've read 6 or 7. I'm like, is that true? And I think it is, because I've read these. I read End Zone twice. I read White Noise twice. I read Cosmopolis.
Okay.
I read Point Omega. I read The Silence.
Silence, yeah.
And then this. So I think that's like 6 or 7.
Yeah, so like DeLillo is always going to be an easier read for you now because you catch his rhythms and
Yep.
you know you can kind of like understand his point of view without having to investigate too deeply, and you know his themes and things like that because he's kind of a broken record.
I do get the sense that the next book of his that I will read, because again, I wish I would read more outside this podcast. I just don't. I do think the next one I'm going to read of his probably will be a Libra.
Yeah.
Because that will be the next one that we're going to cover.
Maybe.
Are any of his stuff in any of the state modules?
No.
Are they all New York, basically? Or not really?
No.
Well, I guess Point Omega is like American Southwest, right?
Yes. Yeah, I like Great John Street is obviously New York.
And so does Texas.
Yeah.
But yeah. But he's a New York guy, right? So
I think he's a New York guy. Yeah.
just keep reading DeLillo.
Right.
Do you have more to say?
No. Today's crime is
I also feel like I took the piss out of myself there by like doing the end of the episode thing and be like, I'm sorry, let me walk that back.
Today's crime is unplugging the refrigerators at a cryogenic place. That's sort of a DeLillo reference.
It also feels like an Alien Earth thing, maybe.
Have you watched the most recent
I
episode?
have. You want to talk about it on the episode? Or should we?
What is the most recent? How many episodes have there
3.
been? I've watched all 3.
Yeah. Should we talk about it here?
I don't have that much to say about it, but what do you have to say?
I think, so this is spoilers vaguely for Alien Earth, even though they're not going to be explicit. It feels like Boy Cavalier, great name, love it, went from being like sort of a, just tech bro kind of whatever to like, oh, Dark Willy Wonka. He's like, I need children because children have a world of pure imagination. So like, not that I ever thought he was good because he is a trillionaire, a self-made trillionaire on the show.
And he has,
But now it's like, oh no, he's explicitly milking these kids.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like a Noah Hawley show to me yet.
No, but I also think it feels like a Noah Hawley show because it's good.
Yeah,
because he only makes good shows.
Yeah.
I do. My favorite thing, and I think we talked about this very vaguely. Timothy Olyphant is so goddamn good.
He's good, yeah, and he looks so weird. All right, that's it.
Theme song.